To get lean and attractive, you need to consistently follow a system that will take you there. So that's what I'm going to give to you in this video. Now, not long ago, I was just a chubby guy who went to the gym sometimes, and I didn't have a system. I didn't know how to control my diet. I didn't know anything. So I had to figure it out. Now I have a very attractive physique. Like when people see it in real life, they can barely believe what they're looking at. So I'm gonna walk you through my exact daily system that got me lean, keeps me lean, so that you can basically copy it and get lean and attractive for yourself. Now, the reason why you need a system if you want to get lean is because the only other alternatives really is to rely exclusively on willpower or to play a guessing game. And those methods are quite inefficient because you'll make a lot of mistakes and your willpower will run out eventually. A system is basically just structure to make the right choice automatic. You know what to do, you know when to do it, you know how to do it. And over time, that will guarantee you the result that you want. If you have to make a lot of decisions every single day to get lean, then that decision fatigue is gonna build up and you're gonna give up. So you need well-designed habits that basically make getting lean the path of least resistance. So you stop fighting to get lean and your system just gets you lean automatically. It sounds counterintuitive, but when I stopped trying really hard to get lean and instead just design my day and my habits and actions to get me lean and keep me lean, that's when it started happening really easily and the fat just started coming off consistently. So let's walk you through the morning routine, the morning system that gets me and keeps me absolutely shredded. So I'll wake up, of course, and I'm waking up around the same time every morning due to going to sleep at the same time every night. And the first thing I'll do is I'll hop in the shower. It'll be a cold shower. Then when I come out, I'll do like some light exercise just to get some blood flowing, like 25 push-ups and squats. And then I'll start brewing black coffee, which I'll have like 5 days per week, just so I don't build up a tolerance to it. As that's brewing, I'll drink a glass of water first, and I'll have vitamin D plus K2, around 4,000 IU. I have that supplement. That's the only supplement I have, especially when I'm in the UK and there's no direct sunlight, especially in the winter. If I'm in a hot country with a lot of sun, I tend not to take it. I don't really see a point. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't care. And as my coffee is still brewing, I'll go outside and I'll get some sunlight in my eyes. Well, some light in my eyes. Like I said, in the UK, there's not much sunlight in the winter, but I'll just get some daylight. And all of these things are designed to spike your cortisol. And that sounds bad, but in the morning, cortisol is obviously the stress hormone that makes you feel alert. In the morning, it's a good thing to do because if you spike your cortisol in the morning, naturally it tapers off by the end of the day. So by the end of the day, your cortisol is going to be lower and that will be conducive to having good sleep, which is very important. I'll talk about the sleep system and why that's extremely vital for getting lean. Now, I didn't mention any food in the morning system because I don't eat anything in the morning. For around the first 4, 5, 6 hours of the day, I don't tend to eat any food because I like to save my calories for fewer meals later in the day. That makes it easier to stick to a deficit. So the black coffee does take care of the appetite. It kind of suppresses it. You still might have to use a little willpower, but it makes it a lot easier for sure. On the days that I don't drink coffee, I just have to brute force my way through those first 4 to 6 hours, to be honest. I don't get too hungry because my body kind of realizes, when it's time to eat. When you get into a set routine, that's what tends to happen. But you just have to deal with it, basically. What I've been doing recently is adding a tablespoon of butter to my coffee in the morning. There's no sugar, no milk, no cream, nothing like that for the black coffee. It's just black coffee, and recently a tablespoon of butter as well. And I didn't used to do that, but it seems to have quite a positive effect on blunting the appetite at the moment. Maybe it's because I'm leaner, so my body just likes those calories in the morning. It's around 100 calories or so. But yeah, that's what I've been doing recently. If you're training in the morning, you're going to the gym, then that's when I'd recommend to get some quick digesting carbs, like half an hour before your session. Nothing much, like I said. I'd like to save most of the calories for later in the day, but just something like 2 tablespoons of honey. That's what I used to have when I would train early in the day before my session, because otherwise you feel kind of weak if you go completely fasted. But otherwise, like now, I train around midday or a little bit later in the afternoon, so I don't eat anything, like I said, for the first 4 to 6 hours. Now, bear in mind, it's not the fact that I skipped breakfast that got me lean like magic. It's the fact that skipping breakfast allowed me to control my calories a lot easier over the duration of the day and stay in a deficit, and that's what gets you lean. You can still eat one meal of 3,000 calories in the night, and even if you skip breakfast, it doesn't matter because you've gone over your maintenance for the day, most likely, right? So give it a try. If it works, then fantastic. And it's very good for productivity as well. Like, for example, it's 2 p.m. right now. I've not eaten anything. I'm recording this video. I feel sharp. It's amazing. Now let's talk about the meal system to get lean. Let's get down to business. So you need to find repeatable meals that you can basically spam every single day to get lean. That's how I got lean. That's how everyone that I know, actually, everybody that I know that has got lean, that actually has an aesthetic physique, they repeat the same meals every single day. And you can change the seasonings, you can change the sauces, but those are just minor variations that, you know, give a little bit of novelty. But the core essence of the meal has to be the same. So I'll give you an example. So my structure for eating on any given day will usually be 2 meals and 1 snack if I go to the gym. So if I go to the gym on that day, about half an hour, maybe an hour before the gym, I'll have like 2 tablespoons of honey, maybe a bit of lean Greek yogurt, maybe a few mandarins, something like that. Or I'll swap out the Greek yogurt for like a bit of chicken breast, like 20-30 grams of protein, about 60 grams of carbs, and that's about it, around an hour before the gym, like I say. And then I come back from the gym, and that's when I'll have my main meal. My main meal will usually be something like fish and potatoes and maybe some more fruit as well. This meal will have been about 700 calories for myself, and the snack before the gym would have been about 300. So I'm at 1,000 for the day. Now, of course, your calorie maintenance and therefore your deficit is going to be different to mine. So you're going to have to calculate that for yourself. My maintenance is around 3,000 calories. I'm quite active. So when I cut, I'm cutting on about 2,500 calories, which is quite fortunate. But then again, I have to work for those calories, you know. I do jiu-jitsu, I walk a lot, I go to the gym. So if you want more calories to eat, then you just have to put in more work. That's how it is. So with 1,000 calories eaten up until this point, I've eaten 1 snack, I've eaten 1 meal. I have about 1,500 calories for my final meal, which I have a few hours before bed, like 3-4 hours before bed. And that's fantastic. That's what I do, because like I said quite a lot of times now, I save most of my calories for later in the day, because for me personally, that's when I would get the hungriest. Back in the day, when I wouldn't have a system and I wouldn't stick to my calories and I would binge on food and ruin my progress, it would always be in the night. That's something that I noticed. It would always be later in the day. You need to go on tdecalculator.net, figure out your maintenance calories or get the estimate that it gives you. If you want to make sure that that is your correct maintenance, then just eat those calories for 2 weeks straight, track your weight every single day and see how it fluctuates. If it goes up, then it's overestimated your maintenance calories. If it goes down, then it's underestimated your maintenance calories. If it stayed the same, then you've got your maintenance calories perfect. From there, you start eating a deficit. Around 500 calories or so is a good sustainable rate. Now, the final meal that I eat at night is going to be something like beef and eggs and potatoes and some more fruit. As you can tell, I like fruit. I eat a lot of fruit, that's for sure. So I'm eating a combination of all of these things every single day. And it doesn't have to be potatoes. It can be rice, or it can be rice noodles, or it can be sourdough bread, or yeah, I tend to avoid like gluten and stuff like that. It doesn't make me feel good. But I'm eating, I can swap and change the carb sources. I can have sweet potatoes and, you know, anything like that. I can have different vegetables. Like I said, you can change the seasonings, the sauces. The protein sources are going to be usually beef, maybe lamb, eggs all the time, fish quite often as well, Greek yogurt. Those are usually the good protein sources for me. And then fruits, I don't discriminate on fruits. I'll eat literally everything. So the way that your meal system should work is that you have made the exact meals that match the calories that you need, and you just spam them continuously. So you can literally have fish and potatoes, like me for example, every single day after the gym for a whole month. And then maybe the next month I'll do eggs and sourdough, but it's still going to be match calories around 700. And then for my final meal, for my dinner, I might have beef and rice and eggs for a whole month. And then for the next month, I might have lamb and sweet potato, something like that, right? Again, match the calories. What this does is make it very simple to stick to your diet day in and day out, because you don't have to make decisions. I mentioned right at the start how bad decision fatigue is when you want to get lean. If you have to constantly think about what you're going to eat for tonight, if you go to the shop and you don't even know what you're buying because you think, oh, I could make this or I could make that. No, you need to know exactly what you're eating every single day, and you can just stick to that. It makes it so simple. Like, I'll purposely not change the foods that I'm eating for like 2 months. I'm not joking, because it just makes it so simple. There's no strict rules for it, right? You can change to different meals whenever you want, but the longer you stick to a specific structure and set of meals, the exact same foods, the easier it's going to be to stick to your deficit and ultimately get lean. You should be tracking your food in MyFitnessPal or Chronometer or any other calorie tracking app. They all work the same way, so you know exactly how many calories you're eating everything you eat needs to be tracked. That's the thing. You can eat a handful of raisins and a handful of prawn crackers, and then here and there you just have a few snacks and you've added an extra 500 calories to your total deficit. And then people do that and wonder why they don't get lean. If you track everything you eat, at least for like a whole month, right, then you actually know what you're eating. Then if you want to get away from weighing your food on the scale, I understand it. Then at least once you've got a solid understanding of how many calories you're eating in a certain amount of food, it makes everything a lot easier. But like I said, for the most accurate method, if you want to guarantee that you get lean, then just weigh everything you're eating. In your house, you should only have the foods that you've planned to eat. So the meat, fish, fruit, vegetables, eggs, things like that, right? Whatever exact meals you've made for yourself that hit your calories, only buy those ingredients. Because if you bring junk food into your environment, you're actively testing your willpower. You're literally fighting yourself to get lean. Why would you do that? Only bring the foods and the ingredients that you want to eat, that in your ideal optimal day where you only stick to your diet, that's what you want to do day in and day out. Only get those things, because otherwise you're going to make it a lot more difficult for yourself. And if you live in an environment where that's not possible, for example, you live with family like I used to do, of course, then basically just don't look. That's the advice that I can give you. That's what I had to do. When I would be going into the kitchen to make some food, I would not even look in the shelf if I knew that there was like some tasty cereal behind the drawer, because otherwise I would start playing scenarios in my mind. I would, take a handful and I'd take a bit more, and then before I knew it, I've eaten a whole bowl of cereal and it's like 700 calories for no reason, just because I allowed myself to look at the food, start getting all these fantasies about it of how good it would taste, and then just break eventually. So yeah, just don't even look at the foods that you're not supposed to eat if it's not in your plan. In terms of cooking your foods, there's two ways that you can go about this. You can either meal prep your foods, or you can choose foods that are very quick and simple and easy to cook on the spot. So I actually utilize both of these methods. For example, my meal after the gym, fish and potatoes, let's say. The fish would be like frozen fish that I could just throw in the air fryer and it's done in 15 minutes. And the potatoes would be cooked in a big batch for like the week or for a few days at least. Same with the beef, with the final meal of the night, right? With the beef and rice, for example. The rice would be pre-cooked, big batch that I've done in the slow cooker or in the rice cooker even. And so I could just use that throughout the week or whatever. And the beef would usually be ground beef. And that's what I have every single day, to be honest with you, almost. Ground beef that I can just, cook in the pan. It's 5 minutes, literally. So if you do it this way, then you're actively spending like maybe 15 or 20 minutes a day preparing food. It's genuinely nothing. The air fryer cooks by itself, the rice cooker cooks by itself. So just to peel some vegetables, chop up some fruit, cook the beef for 5 minutes, it's not that deep, to be honest. Some people make it out to be like you have to be a professional chef preparing meals for 2 hours, but it's honestly not that deep. Now let me talk about the sleep system and how to sleep max, because this is something that's extremely important and most people don't realize how badly negative sleep is going to affect your diet. It doesn't sound like it's connected, but it's so interconnected you wouldn't even realize. I'll give you a quick example. Probably about a month ago, and I have several examples like these, but I just remember this one specifically. A month ago, I had like 3 hours sleep. Maybe I was coming back from an early flight or something. And the next day I ate 6,000 calories of clean food, and not 6,000 calories of burgers and pizzas, no, like 6,000 calories of potatoes and rice and beef, like the stuff that I'd usually eat, just because my hunger hormones were so out of sync. When you don't sleep, right, your ghrelin, which is the hormone that makes you hungry, gets way higher for the next day. You've slept 2, 3 hours, 4 hours, or something like that. Your ghrelin is through the roof. And your leptin, which is the hormone that makes you feel full. So when you eat food and you get that nice satisfying feeling and you don't want any more food, that's leptin rising. Your leptin is automatically lower when you eat food for the next day. Think about that. If you don't sleep properly, and if you sleep deprive yourself over and over every single night, like many people do, then your leptin and your ghrelin are way out of sync. And even if you eat food, you don't get as full as you should be. And even if you don't eat food, like obviously at points you're not going to be eating food, you're going to be hungry at all times. Your baseline of hunger is going to be higher. So you need to absolutely maximize your sleep quality for as best as possible, so that you can stick to your diet as easily as possible. So good sleep actually starts from the morning. That's why I went over the morning routine that elevates your cortisol, which leads to you being more relaxed later in the day, which is obviously conducive to good sleep. Now in the morning routine, right, there was a black coffee. I drink that 5 days a week, like I said. And this is just 1 cup in the morning, not long after I wake up, because otherwise there's a high chance that you're going to disrupt your sleep. Not a high chance, actually, 100% guaranteed chance that you disrupt your sleep if you drink excessive caffeine and you drink caffeine later in the day. In average cup of coffee, there's like 100 milligrams of caffeine, right? So even me, if I'm drinking 1 cup at, let's say, 11 a.m. and I go to sleep at 11 p.m., the half-life of caffeine is about 5-6 hours. So I've still got about 20-25 milligrams of caffeine in my system. Now that's probably not enough to meaningfully disrupt my sleep. And I've tracked my sleep with like sleep tracking devices anyway. So I know that it's fine for deep sleep and REM sleep. But most people are not doing 1 cup of coffee not long after they wake up and that's it for the day. Most people are doing 2, 3, 4 cups of coffee spread out during the day. So by the time that they go to bed, they still have 60, 70, 80 milligrams of caffeine in their system, basically a full cup, which will completely ruin your sleep quality. No deep sleep, no REM sleep, and you wake up feeling like a zombie. You need caffeine to mask the effects of sleep deprivation, and the cycle just continues. So if at the moment you're tolerant to caffeine, or you're dependent on it, I should say, then you actually need to quit it for quite a few weeks so you can fully reset your adenosine receptors, which is what caffeine binds to in the brain to make you feel less tired. And then once you've got past that stage, then you can start to add it back. You know, you start to fix your sleep properly. You can start to add it back for appetite suppression purposes. Just 1 cup in the morning, a long time before bed, to minimize the effects of sleep disruption as much as possible. Now, aside from that, the biggest lever that you can pull to maximize your sleep quality is just to have a consistent bedtime. If you have a consistent bedtime, your body is gonna set a circadian rhythm. Your body works on a 24-hour clock, right? It's gonna know that every single time when this time comes, we're gonna go to sleep, we're gonna wind down, we're gonna start getting tired. So once you can do that, once you can set a consistent schedule for your sleep time, naturally you're gonna wake up at the same time every single morning. Me, I go to sleep at 11 p.m. right now every single night. I'm waking up at 9:30 a.m. naturally every single morning. 10.5 hours, I'm getting my full rest, full deep sleep. Like, I'm waking up full of beans, feeling absolutely amazing. Now, not everyone is gonna sleep for 10 hours. I mean, I'm a very active person, like I've mentioned plenty of times. I'm doing a lot of stuff, so my body just needs that rest, that amount of rest. But a lot of people don't know how much sleep they need, because they just set an alarm every morning and they go to sleep whenever. But that's gonna, again, ruin the quality of your sleep. You're gonna be waking up feeling groggy. That's not the way to do it if you want to maximize your sleep quality. Now, of course, you might need to set an alarm to guarantee that you get to work on time, but don't be stupid. Don't be going to bed at 2 a.m. if you need to get up at 7. Like, let's have some common sense. Eventually, you should get to the point where you figured out the exact time that you need to go to bed in order to wake up naturally before your alarm and feel great. So that's the point that you want to get to realistically. But I mean, I used to work 12-hour shifts and I would still get 10 hours of sleep every single night because it's so important. I would go to bed early enough to prioritize my sleep, because it's just such a life changer, honestly. For people, like most people, as soon as they reach adulthood, they don't sleep anymore. They just don't sleep. You get 6 hours every single night and you caffeinate yourself to mask the effects, but that's honestly no way to live. Like I said, you live like a zombie. You're gonna find it extremely difficult to get lean and to find the energy and motivation to even go to the gym and train with intensity and all the things that you need to do to build an attractive physique. So make sure that sleep is a priority. Treat it as such, and everything is going to get a lot simpler. Make sure your bedroom is cold, make sure it's dark as well. This will make it a lot easier to fall asleep. If it's too much light coming in, then you can buy blackout curtains or blackout blinds or a blindfold. I actually have all three of those things. I'm a sleep maxer, honestly. And you can buy earplugs as well if it's noisy. And your nighttime routine, this is what I did or do still. I have a shower, hot shower, about an hour before bed, and then an hour before bed, I'll get into bed, right? An hour before sleep, I should say. This is the thing. Going to bed and going to sleep is not the same thing. You can go to bed and you can just scroll on your phone for 3 hours. That's not going to sleep. Going to sleep is when you close your eyes, you put your head on the pillow and you start like snoring, right? I don't snore, but when you start breathing deeply so that you can fall asleep, that's sleep. Going to bed is just going into your bedroom and lying in your bed, right? When I go to bed, I'm still reading on my phone for about an hour, and I have a red light, like a red screen on my phone. I go on accessibility or display on my iPhone settings and I turn my screen red. I'm sure every phone can do this. You turn your screen red. I don't know exactly the technical details, but just find a way to do it so that you eliminate any blue light completely, because blue light is what's going to keep you up. It's what's going to elevate your cortisol and make it hard to fall asleep. When I'm going outside in the morning to elevate my cortisol purposely, that I'm looking at blue light. That's what daylight is, right? So you don't want that before bed. No iPhones, no TVs, no laptops, no nothing like that that emits blue light, unless you put a red filter or have like red glasses basically. So I'd just get into bed about 60 minutes before I plan to sleep. Ideally anyways, sometimes it would be less if I've been really busy, maybe 15-30 minutes, but whatever time it was, I would just read on my phone with a red light filter or a red light screen for that amount of time, and then I'd put my head on the pillow and I'd go to sleep and I'd have the most optimal sleep. So that's basically the exact daily system that I followed to get to the body fat percentage that I'm at now, and I'm still doing all of those things to this day, because in order to stay lean, you have to do the things that got you lean. That's why it's important to do it in a sustainable way that you can see yourself doing for a very long time. If you copy it, you're gonna find it a lot easier to get lean, stay lean, build an attractive physique in general. So any other questions that you've got, drop it in the comments. I'll try to get around to it. If you want more help from me to build an attractive physique, then check the top link in the description. You can get one-to-one coaching. I'll work with you directly to build a sexy physique as fast as possible. If you're not ready for that just yet, then check the second link. You can join my community and start building that attractive physique. Links in the description if you want to look sexy.